We're just going to do a little rapid fire down, I think is easiest if you want to introduce yourself and your role in which film.
Sure. My name is Dave Berenato, and I was the writer and director on The Curse.
Woo! My name is Juliet Delgado, and I was a production designer on The Curse. My name is Alexandra Kyle, and I wrote, directed, and starred in Anxiety's Wilma.
My name is Erin Brown Thomas, and I directed Rekindled.
I'm Jane Hollon, and I'm the producer from Rekindled.
I'm Beth Napoli, I'm the DP for Rekindled. I'm Nora Jobling, I wrote, directed, and starred in On Second Thought.
I'm Jan Schwaid, and I wrote The Noodle Man.
My name is Thomas Ravago, and I'm the composer for Almost Charming.
Awesome. Well, since we are at Rom Com Fest, to kick things off, let's start on that end now since you have the mic. Favorite rom-com? Go.
I think the director and I, Taylor Carnes, share miscongeniality.
Is The Princess Bride count? Yeah. All right, then that's my favorite one.
Sleepless in Seattle. I too love The Princess Bride.
Clueless.
It's either Baby Mama or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I love About Time.
16 Candles.
A Cinderella Story.
Awesome. So I would love to hear, I know lots of folks here, if you guys want to share kind of a little inspiration about each of your films. You can just keep going back and forth.
Sure. Well, The Curse was made as part of the Outset program last year, where they take young LGBT filmmakers and kind of show them the ropes of how to make a short film. So we got to make it out of that. It was kind of born out of my experiences dating in LA and my frustration with some of that stuff. It's okay.
I wrote Anxiety's Wilma after a series of panic attacks, and I found that I watched Paris Je T'aime, which is a series of romantic short films, and I found it really comforting. And I wrote it selfishly to just make myself feel better. I think that anxiety tells you that you're doomed, but the nature of romance is, like, romance suggests that the future is bright. So I wanted to make a romantic short comedy about my anxiety.
So the star of Rekindled, Kelly Vrooman, she's one of my best friends, and right before we started making this, she had come out with an article in the Huffington Post about a relationship she had when she was 15 that was abusive in many ways, mostly emotional. She's a comedian, so the article is very funny, despite it being about really serious stuff. And she had talked about basically like what it felt like to be stuck in this relationship, how she didn't know how to get out of it, the manipulative tricks that kept her in, and also like the upbringing that she was in, how it was too scary to talk about the fact that she was having sex to even bring up all the things that were wrong with it. So we started I was like, if this is something you're passionate about talking about, let's find a fun avenue and make a film. So we started talking about how, you see these things as an adult looking back. You can see all these manipulative techniques. You don't necessarily see them when they're still having with someone that's your same age, but you can look back at like high schoolers and probably, if we're 50, we can look back when we're 30, etc. There's always like hindsight, you see a lot. And so we talked about how ridiculous it would be to watch a 16-year-old try these tricks on an older woman. Like trying to get pity and trying to like say, your body wants this, like all that kind of stuff. And that was the birth of Rekindled, and then these two lovely ladies came and helped make it possible.
On Second Thought, which was the first short that you saw, was basically born because I won a bunch of film equipment in New York City for a past short that I had made. And so I was trying to figure out how I could go to New York and film something and utilize the city as much as possible, but also not use sound, because that would be really hard. So I got together with some friends of mine who were all willing to come out and help us make it, and we kind of just figured out how we could tell this story about this couple throughout the city using voiceover, and it was this idea that we had kind of inspired by Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, that sort of like talking to each other after the fact situation, and my editor Eve Hines was instrumental in stringing it all together and turning it into something, and that's kind of what it was.
If you guys, I know there's a lot of filmmakers in here. If anybody was at the party on Thursday, Dream, who is the main character in The Noodle Man, was making noodles. So this is kind of a little bit of a fictionalized story about his life as an actor who also happens to make Thai food and be a street food pop-up chef around the country. So we did, he also directed it, and so it was sort of a amalgamation of different things about his life that we put together to make sort of a fun comedy about his romantic situations. So it's based on a true story.
Almost Charming was also based on a true story, most notably Taylor Carn's true story. She was a party princess as one of her jobs, and kind of had a similar situation as what happened in the film. But instead of being embarrassed about it and like sticking on it for a long time, she wrote a film. And so the awkward situation from Almost Charming is taken straight out of Taylor Carn's life.
And what is next for each of your shorts? And are there any other projects you are working on in the works?
I believe that Almost Charming is sort of right now. This was our premiere here in LA, and there's sort of a lineup of showings. I think the next one is in like New Jersey or something, which is awesome. But nothing really as far as our team goes. We're sort of just celebrating our victory and the blessing of being able to be shown here at Rom Com Fest.
I know this was Taylor's first film she's ever made, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just graduated. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So Noodle Man's going to be showing in a couple of different festivals around the country, and you can also watch it on Amazon Prime. And the next couple of things we have coming up, we have a children's cooking show, as well as we're doing more of a reality show about a woman going to different locations around the United States and interviewing amazing women who are doing cool things in each place.
On Second Thought is going to be released online when we're done with festivals, and then after that we're trying to find financing for a feature. If anyone knows about that.
So Rekindled, one was acquired by Facebook as a series in 3 parts, so it's split the 3 parts, and you can find it there, as well as Gravitas Productions acquired it for different like VOD platforms. So sometimes if you're watching a group of shorts, Rekindled will be there. I'm not honestly sure how you find them because I haven't looked that hard. Kelly, who would be here if she wasn't in the show right now, but should be here later tonight, was Kelly and I, we wrote a series called Managing Life that is loosely based or loosely inspired from the Pile of Guys motif in our film. And we're just starting to take that out to different networks right now. Additionally, Kelly and I just locked cut on a new rom-com yesterday that will be hitting festival circuit soon. And then I'm currently going out for financing on a feature based on the true story of when I, at 14 years old in 1999, went on a class field trip to Florence, Italy. I got left behind by my class.
This is the premiere of Anxiety's Wilma, so I'm really grateful to be here. And it is my writer-director debut. We just got into the Adirondack Film Festival in New York. That will be in October. I'm excited about that. And I learned so much in this process, and so I am writing some more. And look forward to making more things. Woo!
Dave and I in the future are going to work on making more gay, more romantic things.
And if anyone's in Kansas City tomorrow, The Curse is screening at the Kansas City LGBT Film Festival. So definitely check that out.
Super great. Would love to open it up if anyone has questions for any of the filmmakers here. It's a casual, pop your hand up, shout it out kind of thing.
Can I ask a fellow person?
Oh,
from here?
sure. Kick it off.
I just want to know, like, with anxiety filming, since this was the first time that you made something, did you know you wanted to, were you interested in film, or was your experience something that made you want to go into film?
Thanks. I've been working as an actor most of my life. And I really wrote the script. I was like sitting at my desk at work and I wrote the script to make myself feel better. It was kind of a therapeutic exercise. And then I was kind of like, well, if someone was going to make this, it would have to be me and I would have to star in it. It was way too personal to let anyone else take over. And I got very lucky with Martin Starr, who played my anxiety. He identified with it, and now I can't wait to do something else. Thanks for asking.
One back there? Yeah.
How many edits did you have to make? Because it seemed like it was so flawless, and I wondered if it just poured out of you like that? Or I'm talking about anxiety's Wilma. If it just poured out of you like that, or maybe you had to go back and rewrite it for years, or how did it get to be so beautiful?
So sweet, thank you. For the most part, I wrote it all at once. I think in the car, Martin and I did some improv, and although he had some dirty jokes that I didn't put in the movie. So, yeah, I didn't really edit it much. Thank you.
What was your biggest learning experience from each project? Let's take away from
Oh, hi. I learned like literally everything. I learned about lighting, sound design, and editing. Songwriting. I like really interested in songwriting, and it was important that we have 2 original songs. One that goes through the entire party, and then one for the credits. And I just really enjoyed being a part of that experience. I learned a lot.
So, as Dave said, we were both fellows in a young filmmakers group, and it was really almost both of our debuts. And I think the teamwork that we found in our group was just really the greatest thing I learned. I knew we all were individuals working together, but to see everybody really come together for one project was, I think, one of the most romantic things about the whole film.
Next time I'm going to do more pre-production.
This was my first time doing like straight comedy. I'd done stuff that was more visually driven before it, some stuff that was a little more dramatic. And I think with comedy, it's so performance driven. I've learned to just leave more time than you would for other genres for performance, because for a few reasons. One, because performance carries comedy, but also because to keep comedy going, you really need your actors to be fresh each take, and that can result in some continuity issues. So you want to have extra takes just to be able to hopefully, and also have a good script supervisor watching that kind of stuff. But when you get into the edit room and you're working around, like trying to find the best take, but also making sure there's continuity. I would say if you're in a large enough environment doing comedy, it's great to have 2 cameras if you have the crew that can sustain it. But this was a tiny little restaurant. It was even a set. In general, if you have it, do that for comedy so that your actors can be really loose and free and you have your coverage. That's what I learned.
Well, you kind of said the same thing I was going to say. This is the first comedy that I've done as well. I've done a ton of shorts. This is the first straight comedy. And it's just such a fun collaborative process to be shooting a comedy rather than some serious drama. So I guess I just learned that this is something that I like doing and want to do some more of.
For me, I guess we had to go back and do some pickups, and that's always a little bit of a challenge on tight schedule, tight budget. small location, but
Small location.
I think we did a good job matching. And
I would say doing everything yourself is really stressful, so have a really good team behind you that can help you as much as possible and ask for help where you need it.
I'd say to learn to be flexible, even when you're writing, as far as locations and how many you're using, and trying to think of like ways to use places that will allow you to use them, and also to ask for a lot of favors, musically, location-wise, everything.
So this was also my first comedy, writing for anything. And I think my biggest lesson was, as artists, we don't always have to take ourselves too seriously, especially like in the realm of comedy. I feel like I was laughing as I was writing, the stuff, right? And that's something that was new for me. So definitely that.
Awesome. I saw a hand pop up right here.
Yeah, for Erin, I love the credit sequence with the high school yearbook. How'd you come up with? I love what you had the art department and
Sure. I have a history in my films, unless they're like really dramatic and it would hurt the tone. I generally try to do a fun credit sequence, and I came up with the idea for that one at our rap party, like the day we had finished. We were all talking. And we were, I don't really remember how it came up, but I turned to, it might have even been Beth, and I was like, oh man, how cool would it be if I could get everyone's high school photo? And I was like, on a high, I was like, we're gonna do it. Oh my gosh, it took so long to get everybody to give me their high school photo. That was like more work than making the film. Was getting all these, like, please give me your high school photo. I don't know, my mom's moved 6 times. I will hunt her down. But yeah, I had recently taught myself how to do essentially 2D animation work, and so I built those yearbook pieces from scratch. I went and got some yearbooks from the 90s and like scanned them in just to pull the clip art from them. But I built the page, I just took the binding of a regular book, scanned it with like a really good scanner, and then built all the pages from scratch using scanned 90s clip art, and then actually people's photos, and then like borrowed fonts that felt like that era. Some of the things were actually scanned fonts from there was my high school prom one was like, Oh What a Night. I think I grabbed that. I grabbed a couple, or it was like, Oh the Memories or something like that. Like a couple things were scanned, and then I would try to find fonts that matched as good as possible for the other stuff. But it's a lot of work. But I like it. I'm still glad I did it, but I did not realize it would be so much work. Thank you for noticing the small details. That's fun.
Back there.
So besides budget, what was one of the hardest things you guys had to overcome to get your film made?
Night shoots. When you have a location that's only available to you at night, just being up all night is so tough. I mean, for me, I'm just I like to go to bed early, so.
We had a couple specific constraints because of our program. We had 12 hours on a soundstage to shoot the entire thing, so a lot of it was, okay, what do we cut, which shots don't we need, which angles don't we need, and you make sacrifices, but I think happy with how it turned out, so those were just some of the decisions we made.
I would say wearing multiple hats and wishing I could have my eyes on everything. I think that if I could go back and give myself advice, I'd say maybe don't star in the first thing you direct. But that's how I learned a lot, so yeah.
We stole all of our locations in New York City, so I'd say giving yourself 2 days to shoot over an entire city was insanity in hindsight. So having more time to do everything, and then also, yes, wearing multiple hats makes everything that much harder and more stressful, so giving yourself the time to do all that is important.
We shot in Austin, so it was maybe a tad more difficult to find everybody who we needed to portray than perhaps it would have been in Los Angeles. But it was also a city that was super open to helping us out and to, contributing what they could and, helping. So, it evened out the two things.
I think for us it was in post because our audio and VFX guy was in New York. I was here in SoCal, and Taylor, our director, was up in NorCal. And so there was a lot of like telecommuting that was going on, but eventually we got to the point where our coordination was very good. And so by the tail end of post, we were all set, I think.
Awesome. Well, that's about all the time we have. Thank you all so much. For the day, we have 2 more films of Rom Com Fest. After this is One Bedroom, and then we have 10 Things I Hate About You. And right after 10 Things I Hate About You, we're going to be announcing our winners of our awards. So everyone has a ballot. Make sure you can only vote for one. So just tear along the line of the number. And our audience awards are presented by Frolic, which is awesome site. It's like pop culture meets romance, so all you rom-com lovers will love it. They have a fun giveaway going on too, so check that out in the lobby. And thanks guys so much for coming.